That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode number 67 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam and I'm joined today by Sam.
Hi.
By John.
Hello.
And unfortunately not by Brett, because apparently he's got a migraine, but I just think he doesn't want to talk about Baron Corbin.
Every time there's a Baron Corbin match, he ducks out.
Unbelievable, Brett. Unbelievable. Anyway, so you're just going to have to settle for the three of us as we do a Hardest Part of the Ring rewind, and I'll give you a little bit more info about that in a minute. But I thought, guys, as it's episode 67, do you want to know some wrestlers who are 67 or would be if they were still alive?
Well, that's turned quite morbid quite quickly. Yeah, go for it.
Well, not many wrestlers make it to 67, do they?
Is Goldust one of them?
No, he's not that old, is he? He's 50.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Pretty old, yeah. I think he's close. Well, Brett the Hitman Hart must be close.
Well, none of these are on my list.
Oh,
Macho Man Randy Savage would be 67 today if he was still alive.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow.
Could you imagine him at 67?
Come back from the dead.
Lord.
Okay, John, next impressions for you.
Okay.
Hillbilly Jim.
I don't think I could do that without sounding really offensive.
Yeah, give us another one, Adam.
Okay, I think this could be offensive as well. Sam, Junkyard Dog.
Okay, John.
I can do an impression of Junkyard Dog. He used to hit his belly all the time.
Okay, I wondered.
Oh, I thought I was preparing to do it. Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah,
that was me doing
listeners, that was definitely John's belly he was slapping. Okay. And finally, somebody who is alive. He's not a wrestler, but he's very important in the world of wrestling. Jim Ross is 67.
By God, I can't believe it.
That was a good impression.
Yeah, pretty
I feel
decent.
like it actually got away from me.
Anyway, moving on from 67-year-olds, dead or alive. This is episode 67. In our last podcast, episode 66, we did our draft. That feels like a bloody lifetime ago now.
I missed the draft.
Like a long time ago.
I think we enjoyed it. And that's the most important thing.
I like to think that we do the draft for us, and then we watch Fastlane for all the fans, so that you guys don't have to.
Oh, that's a good way of spinning it.
You're welcome, guys.
Wow, that is nice.
The draft is payment.
I should mention that we actually stuck a poll on Twitter after the draft. So if you go onto our Twitter, twitter.com/hardestpartpod, you can see our rosters. First of all, we've got a lovely screenshot of our Google document, our spreadsheet. You can see all our roster names and you can see our rosters, and you can get in touch and tell us which you think is the best. But we did a poll, and this is getting very boring because we've just got a serial winner of everything. But with 44% of the vote, John,
I mean,
apparently you've got the best roster.
Great and merry John Bash.
Adam and Brett joint second on 22%, and then Sam bringing up the rear with 11%.
We'll see. Give it time.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think Sam's is very strong.
Yeah.
I think Brett's... Brett's got some absolute...
Yeah, Brett
Hail
started
Marys in
strong
his
and
roster.
then decided to go off the deep end.
He certainly did. But yes, go and check that out and let us know what you think. This podcast is going to be the hardest part of the rewind. Hardest part of the rewind? No.
I like that. Hardest part of the rewind is quite good.
No.
It does sound like a garage track, though.
Well, I mean, listeners will have heard that on the intro to this podcast, I stuck a bit of Craig David. Yeah. These guys haven't heard that yet, but I thought, why the hell not? So this podcast is a rewind episode, which means we delve back into the WWE Network archives to watch a classic pay-per-view. It's our 6th rewind, so definitely go back and check out the others. We tend to do them every sort of 10 episodes or so. And the last one was, one of the best pay-per-views ever, WrestleMania 17/X7.
That was a beauty, that, yeah.
Good old X7, yeah.
Yeah, very good. So this one, it was Sam's turn to pick, and he went for NXT Takeover Respect from 2015, our most recent rewind, just 4 years ago. Why did you go for it, Sam?
Honestly, I went for this one because this is the pay-per-view where Sasha Banks went best heel ever and made a child cry, and I still find it hilarious to this day.
Yeah.
That bit was amazing.
It's one of my favourite moments in wrestling ever.
Good. Well, we'll go deep on that. The despair on the child's face.
It's quite fascinating insight to Sam's psyche there. All it takes to make Sam happy is for a young girl to be devastated.
It's just pure bliss. So that's why I picked it.
Was that supposed to be a wrestling pun?
It can be.
Okay.
I loved it. But seriously, like kind of around about this point in time, NXT was sort of changing a little bit, I want to say. So perhaps this was more the year before, and this was kind of a lot of the culmination of that. But NXT in 2014-15 sort of began bringing in a lot of independent talent like Finn Balor and Hideo Itami and Samoa Joe, weirdly enough, which was a very strange but big move, I feel. And yeah, that was sort of quite an interesting time for NXT. And then also kind of a lot of the wrestlers in NXT then are your main roster guys now. So it's kind of cool to see who's done well, who's not done so well, and what Apollo Crews is doing with his life.
Yeah, pretty much all of them are on the main card now. Or are they? Were they? Well, we'll go through it. We'll go through it match by match, pretty much. So yeah, let's talk about Takeover Respect after this.
And now, WWE Network presents NXT Takeover. Respect. Respect.
You are looking live inside the NXT arena at Full Sail University. It is truly a special night, and in the words of Triple H, more than money or fame, success is measured by one thing: respect. Welcome everybody to NXT Takeover Respect.
NXT Takeover Respect happened on the 7th of October 2015, and as is tradition, we usually talk about what we were doing back then. This should be a lot easier to remember than some of the early 90s ones. John, what were you doing in 2015? We'd all just stopped working together, roughly, hadn't we?
Yeah.
So it was a hard time.
Split up the stable.
Yeah. What were you doing?
I was working up in London. Interestingly, I'd gotten back into wrestling from WrestleMania 30, which is about a year and a half before this. So I was watching WWE pay-per-views at this point, not NXT.
What about you, Sam?
So I was full in wrestling deep at this point. That's a sentence, right?
Yeah, it'll do. Great podcasting.
Yeah, around about this time I just started my current job. So yeah, just kind of watching wrestling, making graphics, doing my job.
Yeah, exactly. I'd been freelancing for a couple of years, and yeah, I think I was just getting back into wrestling. Just getting back, so I wasn't watching NXT at all.
These were back in the days of Skype when we didn't actually do much work at all. We just spoke about wrestling all day on Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was probably at the time where we did a draft, actually.
Our first ever draft. Yeah, when we knew nothing.
Maybe.
It's mad, like how little we knew in terms of just the amount of talent that we know now compared to back then. Didn't even know what NXT was, personally, anyway. Yeah. Okay. Number one in the charts. Do either of you know this? On the 7th of October 2015 was Fight Song by Rachel Platten.
Who?
No, Fight Song.
I've never heard of her.
Fight Song's a song by Marilyn Manson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this was a cover because it was just sort of generic pop.
Oh, have you listened to it? Is it good?
Yeah, I googled it to see. No.
What is Rachel Platten doing with her life now?
Wrestling.
She's in Impact.
Yeah.
Platten.
Number one in the UK box office was The Martian.
Oh, I saw that in the cinema.
It doesn't feel like that was that long ago.
No, it doesn't.
That was a good film. Good book, good film.
Yeah, that's all right.
Oh.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, moving on from that, what we were up to and what was big in terms of music and films. NXT TakeOver Respect was held at the classic venue of Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida, which has been the home of NXT since 2012. According to Wikipedia, it has a attendance, or this event had an attendance of 400 plus, just to be vague.
Is that all? It felt like more than a standard NXT show. It felt like a big crowd.
It's not big at all in there, is it?
No, really? I think kind of the thing is though is that kind of you get a better atmosphere with smaller crowds.
Yeah,
I love it.
See the whites of their eyes. And again, another tradition when it comes to rewind shows is for me to delve a little deeper into the history of the venue. And I found out some pretty interesting stuff, actually. And I don't know if you guys knew this already, but...
Why would we know any of this about Full Sail?
You never know. This might be common knowledge. Full Sail is a genuine university that offers courses in film and video production.
Oh, yeah. John told me that before the pod.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is that the partnership that the university have got with the WWE allows WWE to film NXT there, obviously. But they also offer scholarships that allow students to gain work experience on live productions. So on NXT.
Oh,
this
that's
sounds
a good
like
idea,
the most
isn't it?
Vince McMahon solution.
It does get all the interns
Yeah.
in.
Well, yeah, I was going to say on one hand, it's like, look at this great opportunity, look at this great exposure.
This will look great on
big
your
company.
show reel.
This will look so good on your CV, but I think we all know.
Does this explain the Raw storylines over the last year, do you reckon?
What? Because those people have now
their
graduated.
main roster as well.
Yeah, they're just using interns just to write everything.
Pretty cool though. But yeah, I did have a look on the WWE and Full Sail website, and obviously, it's written by them, so take it with a pinch of salt. But pretty cool just to read it. The WWE and Full Sail Student Initiative provides opportunities to volunteer, learn alongside, and shadow WWE employees in areas like marketing, social media, media production, graphic design, and more. For any given event, approximately 50 to 60 students will participate on the day of production, with roughly 30 more assisting throughout the week to set up and strike equipment, don't know what that means, in the live venue. So yeah, it's basically just free child labour.
I was really hoping that wrestling was going to be a part of that. Like, you can help set up the ring, do graphics, do music, wrestle Bray Wyatt. Just
No. And then in addition to supporting the practical education of students, proceeds from NXT ticket sales go towards a scholarship fund for students enrolled at Full Sail.
Oh.
So, I mean, who knows? This could just be a load of bollocks, and it's like them talking about how amazing they are with the women's revolution, when we really know the true background of that. Perhaps the true background of this is just, cheap, free, slave labour.
I'm all aboard. I think it's a great thing.
But, I mean, there'll be a lot of mega wrestling fans out there who've gone to that university, done that course, and got to work on NXT behind the scenes, and that's got to be a pretty cool thing to do. Even if you're working 40-hour days for no money. Moving on from that. The comms team for Respect were Rich Brennan, Corey Graves and Byron Saxton. Any thoughts on Rich Brennan? I'd never seen him before. I didn't watch this at the time.
He was going to be in my what the F moment, because I thought it was John Oliver when it started.
Yeah.
And it really put me off.
I forgot about.
I mean,
Rich
where is he
Brennan.
now? What's the deal with Rich Brennan?
He's in a relationship with Rachel Platten.
Boom. I'm going to Google him. Let's do a very quick Google.
He's probably still there, isn't he? He probably does like web stuff, I'd imagine. I thought it was all right though. It wasn't bad.
Apparently he's an ice hockey player, but I think that's somebody completely different.
Yeah.
It doesn't really say. It just says he was formerly signed to WWE on the NXT brand. So yeah, I think it was pretty good. Yeah. But I mean, you can see why Ronaldo is an upgrade, but he's an upgrade on anyone, really, isn't he? Yeah. So the card, NXT Takeover Respect, started off with, we had the two semi-finals for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, the first ever Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which is pretty cool. First tag team match was between Finn Balor, it was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus Dash and Dawson, aka The Revival.
Also
obviously.
known as the Mechanics at this point.
And the Mechanics, yeah.
Were they still known as Mechanics?
I don't think so. I think this was just before they became the Mechanics. I think they had a bit of a Viking experience situation where they were trying to get the name right and took about 6 attempts.
It's because they couldn't get the clearance to have Mike and the Mechanics as their entrance music. That'd be great though. Walk up the ramp, look back over their shoulder at the people that they just missed as looking back over my shoulder plays. Ooh.
I don't know that song.
Yeah, that's a pretty niche.
The listeners have got my back. They're all massive Mike and the Mechanics fans. Oh God, I'm not a massive Mike and the Mechanics fan. Okay, just to clear that up.
Just Lighthouse family, right?
Shut up.
Come on.
They're on tour, guys. They're on tour. Fancy going?
Yes.
Oh yes,
No.
Sam's in. Second semi-final match was Baron Corbin and Rhino versus Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, and they weren't quite American Alpha. I get the impression that they
No,
just started
they weren't.
tagging
Yeah,
together.
so in fact, kind of this was an interesting time as well. I think this is the first time they really started tagging together, because Jason Jordan had been in a string of tag teams before this, and his whole gimmick was that he always turns on his partner. So he was in a tag team with Ty Dillinger, and then just beat the shit out of him one day.
Oh,
We've all
right.
been there with Ty Dillinger, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we had a singles match. Asuka, in her NXT debut, which was really cool when I realised that, defeated Dana Brooke.
Dana Brooke.
Or Dana Brooke, sorry. I always pronounce one name wrong when I do the running.
You got Asuka, smashed it.
Yes, Asuka. The next singles match was Apollo Crews versus Tyler Breeze. Then we had the final of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. I mean, it's spoilers to say, but this whole podcast is spoilers. It was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus Baron Corbin and Rhino. And then finally, the real reason why we watched this was the 30-minute Iron Man match for the NXT Women's Championship. Bayley, the champion, versus Sasha Banks.
It's a great match, that one.
Oh, God, that match was so good.
And we must say thanks to Sam for picking a 2-hour pay-per-view for the Rewind.
Yeah.
2 hour pack, but it had 6 matches. That's bonkers, isn't it?
But they're all nice
Yeah.
bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I like the fact they were short matches.
Yeah, just all building up to that last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you think about it, yeah, actually, 2 hour pay per view, 6 matches. One of those matches was 30 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. So, as always with our Rewind episodes, we split it up. We're going to talk about the best match. I wonder which one that's going to be. We're going to talk about what we thought was the worst match, and then we'll talk about other standout moments, what the fuck moments. We'll pick a MVP, our standout performer, and we'll discuss what we've learnt before picking our rating, or giving our rating out of 10 to see how it ranks against other rated pay-per-views. So, should we just get into it?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Best match. What was it?
It was Apollo Crews versus Tyler Breeze.
Bayley versus Sasha Banks in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Why didn't they call it an Iron Woman match? I mean, I know Iron Man is a phrase.
I felt like they kept flipping and flopping, didn't they? Like, I felt like
Yeah.
some of them were saying Iron Woman. Let's call it Iron Woman match.
Shall we?
Yeah, I mean, when I
It's so
described it
woke.
to my wife, I just referred to it as Iron Woman match because it felt weird referring to it as an Iron Man match.
Yeah.
It did.
Why do we have to
Anyway.
genderize any of this? Iron Person match.
I mean, this was a stage where the NXT women's belt still had loads of pink glittery stuff all over it, didn't it? And they were still referred to as divas.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they were.
Just.
Oh, God. This...
It feels so dated looking back, doesn't it? Like,
It does. Although, I mean, just as a general point, who do you thought looked like they'd aged the most? Like, I generally thought most people looked pretty similar, except for Triple H when he came out at the end.
Yeah?
I thought he looked like 10 years younger.
yeah, he's definitely had a rough 4 years.
Yeah,
He really has.
Yeah, the time has not been kind to him.
I don't think the beard helps him
Yeah.
at the moment, though. It makes him look a bit
Yeah.
older.
I don't know. I almost
think
prefer how he looks
Basil
now.
Corbs looks quite different, doesn't he?
Basil Corbs, definitely. I can't believe Brett's not here to talk about this. Well, let's just assume he absolutely loved everything Basil Corbs did.
Yeah.
But yes, the Iron Man match, obviously, you know, in an Iron Man match, the time is set 30 minutes and they've just got to see how many falls they can get and who comes out on top. And it was really, really, really good.
It's
I
a great
absolutely loved
match.
it.
So good.
I actually think maybe the first half is a little bit like, it's all right, I did a job. And then Sasha goes full heel and just steps it up a level.
I find that's kind of my problem with a lot of Iron Man matches, in that because part of wrestling is that it could finish at any moment. So, but with Iron Man, you know it's going to last 30 minutes, an hour. So the first half of it just feels like setup, you know?
Yeah. I quite
It's hard
like
to get into it.
I do agree, but I also quite like the fact that psychologically it's a bit different for the wrestlers, because it's like most of the time they're trying all they can not to be pinned, whereas there are times in these kind of matches where they might be like, fuck it, I'll take the quick pin, like we saw a lot in the 2 out of 3 Falls match
Yeah, it's a
between
good
Adam
point.
Cole, Johnny Gargano. It's like, well, I'll take a quick pin because we've got 25 minutes, there's no point in me taking any more damage here or trying, really exerting myself to get out of this. And yeah, I like that sort of side of things. I did wonder though, when I saw the scores at 0-0 when it started, I was like, surely it's never gonna, it's just gonna be 2-1 or something like that, 3-2. You're never gonna have like an 8-0.
You're never going to get a cricket score. I don't know, man. I want to see a cricket score Iron Man match.
That
It's weird. You never really get those in Iron Man matches. You like a
real
dominant...
squash match Iron Man would be great.
Yeah, because it'd be just Braun against James Ellsworth or something like.
Oh yes,
for 30 minutes.
I think I could do that. I think I could watch 30 minutes of Braun Strowman just beating the shit out of James Ellsworth.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
But another thing I noticed at the start, there are a lot of Bayley t-shirts, and this was at the height of her popularity.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, kind of, this was coming off the back of NXT Brooklyn, where Sasha Banks and Bayley had probably one of the best matches I've ever seen. And kind of like hype around Bayley at this point was huge. She was the ultimate underdog kind of wrestler, and this was very much her proving herself, not winning the title but defending it, which is big time.
Yeah,
she was absolutely massive in NXT though. She was so over.
The problem is that I don't know if, well, as time has told, I don't know if kind of the gimmick has legs, which is...
It's weird though, because I remember seeing her in NXT thinking main roster needs Bayley.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, maybe it still does, but...
The thing is, I feel like both Bayley and Sasha Banks have been done a great injustice when it comes to the main roster. Neither of them have ever really had the singles run that they deserve. Like, kind of, Bayley has always been on the periphery, and Sasha has unfortunately been nothing more than kind of like a flip-flop for Charlotte just to build up title reigns. So, neither of them really had the chance.
They never really give them time. Like on NXT, obviously they build feuds between single women wrestlers, and they develop those feuds and they pay off those feuds at takeover events. Whereas on main roster, they just whack them into multi-women tag matches, and nothing ever gets done. There's very rarely any singles matches.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we're not doing that. Positive.
I was going to suggest that we sort of looked at each of the four horsewomen, because obviously they figured quite a lot in this. And sort of talked about then and now and how they've been doing, but we don't need to do that because you've sort of alluded to it. But I did find it interesting just looking at Becky, just thinking, you have absolutely no idea what is ahead for you. You're going to have a call up. It's going to be okay, but it's going to be mostly disappointing, and then you're going to become the biggest wrestler on the planet for a little bit.
But that's what also gives hope for people like Sasha Banks and Bayley, who kind of, Becky Lynch is a great wrestler. Is she a million miles better than Sasha Banks or Bayley? Because
no. I mean, you could argue that she's the weakest of the four.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. Is that all four of them are incredibly capable, fantastic wrestlers, and it seems like only one of them has been given consistent, strong booking, and the rest of them.
Well, Charlotte, I'd say Charlotte's been booked fairly strongly.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say one of them's been given strong booking.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant. I thought you were going to say that Becky has as well, but only recently.
No. Like Charlotte has consistently, from call up all the way to now, been like top of the card, and deservedly so. But those other three wrestlers are as talented, and should be given the opportunities and chances to prove themselves.
Yeah, I think what this match shows is Bayley's such a good face, especially in peril.
Yeah.
Like, she was so good in this match, I thought. Yeah. Especially when Sasha turned heel and was being a dick.
I think that's the thing.
She is a complete dick.
Is that Bayley is at her best when she's pushed into a corner, when she's kind of, when she's actually playing the underdog and is being kind of, literally bullied. She kind of, that's when she comes into her own, when she's kind of fighting that corner.
It just makes you realise what a missed opportunity it was. What was it, 6 months ago? A year or whatever, when they were sort of teasing the fact that they were going to split up. And they kind of did a little bit, didn't they? I don't know, but they never got the chance to have that big match that obviously there would have been an appetite for, and we have seen on more than one occasion that they can do it. They can put on that amazing match.
Exactly.
So, and then it went to shit, and then they were teammates and rightful first tag team champions, but obviously that's gone out the window now too.
The trouble is, with that, they were blatantly pushing for the split, They wanted that feud between them because they knew it'd be Dynamite.
Yeah.
But for some reason, WWE just didn't back it.
This is the strange thing, is that, this is now 4 years down the line from this match, and this was the end of their feud. And, what an ending this was. So, it's not like this is fresh in their minds anymore. They could easily do a Bayley versus Banks feud, and it would be fine. Yeah. And it just feels like they're missing the mark a lot.
The chances are they will, They've got so much TV
Well,
and stuff.
assuming
I'm sure it will
Sasha
happen.
continues to work at WWE.
Well, I say it'll be on AEW or Riptide or something like that. Imagine. But back to the match. I thought I quite liked the start when they were just going for loads of early pinfall attempts.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was quite cool. And then we had that nasty landing from Sasha when she
on her
flipped over
head.
and landed on her. Well, it looked like
Sasha
her head,
loves
didn't it?
taking a
And then
bump
it was
on her
kind of
head.
more of her
Yeah.
She is the ragdoll of professional wrestling, isn't she? She going back to those matches she had with Charlotte, when Charlotte would just be flinging her around, especially that, was it Hell in a Cell or was it a cage, just a general cage match? I can't remember. But God, she gets flung around so easily, and the way her hair whips around, it's just insane that she just doesn't break
She's
into.
one of my favourite wrestlers, Sasha Banks.
Around this point in time, there was a lot of shout for Sasha to obviously be main roster and be one of the next big things. Apparently, the only person who wasn't very hot on her was Vince McMahon, who basically said he doesn't like the way she wrestles. Too dangerous.
I mean, there's something to be said
really?
for that. I mean, maybe she is, but it's fucking great to watch.
Yeah, it's worked well. Also, early on in the match, they had the little tease of the failed bank statement and then the failed Bayley to belly. And I thought, the narrative worked pretty well at the start. Personally, obviously, there was the bit where Bayley went in for the hug a little bit, and then Sasha obviously refused. And then the first fall went to Sasha with the eye poke and the roll up with the ref. It was just like you say, brilliant heel work.
Well. I like the fact there was a count out pinfall as well. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was a beautiful one as well.
Going into the LED screen. Ouch.
Yeah, that was great. We had the glitching screen.
The good old glitchy screen.
So happy. Yeah. What are your thoughts generally on the Bayley to belly finisher?
It's a pun.
Yeah, it's not a finishing move,
in comparison to the submission she put in at the end.
That submission was brutal, wasn't it?
That kind of Rings of Saturn-esque.
Yeah, I was trying to think what it was. What was it? It was sank of arms. It looked ouchy.
Yeah, this here says Sasha Banks was forced to submit to a scissored armbar.
Scissored armbar,
which is interesting because before that it says Bayley pinned Sasha Banks with a Rana, and I'm not sure what a Rana is.
Off the top rope, she did the Rana off the top rope, but then Sasha sort of landed on her feet.
Yes, kind of. Yeah,
I didn't realise that.
That's how she beat her in Brooklyn, wasn't it? I think.
Oh yeah, I didn't realise it was called that. Learn something new every day.
Yeah, but yeah, a belly to belly suplex just doesn't look very good. It's not as good as a normal suplex, and even a normal suplex isn't a good finish.
I think it's quite a good finish. I mean, it kind of reminds me a lot of the rock bottom, you know.
I suppose that too is a pun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. John loves a pun.
I love a pun. I just don't know if it has much legs on it. After like hearing it the first 6, 7 times, it's like, okay, what else you got?
Yeah. I mean, I was going to have a go at it even more, saying, they've just thought of the word belly, or what does Bayley sound like? Sounds like belly. And then I'm just reminded of our roster draft. So I probably shouldn't criticise. I probably should not criticise.
I have to say, with this match, I thought the last few minutes was fucking on fire.
Oh, so good, isn't it? They really nailed that timing.
Oh, God, like the bank statement and then Bayley escaping and there's the Hurricanrana and then the backstabber and then Bayley rolled through it and into that crazy submission. I was on my bloody feet. Yeah. It was insane.
It's so good. Even the storytelling with kind of Sasha Banks' injured hand and that being the way to get out of the bank statement. It's good story. It's just great.
And tapping out with 2 seconds to spare.
It's a really
Yeah, they did it perfectly.
It's enjoyable. It's one of the best endings of a match I think I've
so good
ever seen. I'd say
it was tense.
It was so good.
Yeah. Should we spend 20 minutes talking about the crying child?
Izzy. So,
how good was that? Poor old Izzy. Is Izzy still around? As in, I don't mean.
Oh God!
The worst.
Wow.
I mean, does
she's
she
67. Adam.
Attend
she's,
wrestling. Yeah. I mean, hold on a minute. So, how old do you reckon she was then? 12, 13?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Probably.
So she's probably approaching 17, something like that now. Is wrestling too Is she too cool for wrestling now?
Into it. I swear I see her quite a lot.
I like to think they just kind of they do what they used to do on those old sitcoms where someone gets a bit old and they just replace the actress with someone else. I reckon maybe they're just okay, Izzy, you're a bit too old now to be a Bayley fan, so off you go. Here's Nicholas, he's the new you.
Nicholas had long hair, he could pull off his.
We all thought Nicholas was a girl, right? So
Yep.
Could be.
Yeah. Oh, Nicholas.
Nicholas.
What is Nicholas up to? Do you reckon he's just still dining out on that?
Oh, yeah.
Of course he is. He's the coolest guy at his school. Before that, I used to get horrendously bullied. Now,
Yeah, if you went to school with Nicholas, you'd be like,
waited on
man,
hand
that
and
Nicholas
foot.
guy is such a dick these days.
yeah, but you can't mess with him because he'll get
Yeah,
Braun
true.
to come round. So yeah, obviously we did have the bit where Izzy was there giving loads of support to Bayley, and I mean we didn't quite hear what Sasha said, did we? But she shouted at her, and then she started crying, and then she nicked the bow from the top of her head and put
Man.
it on. That was so.
I
good.
love it. It's just being an absolute dick, and yeah, I'm always a big fan of that.
Oh yeah, we know. We worked with
Oh,
you
yeah,
for a few
yeah.
years.
Good times, eh?
We want this Sasha back,
Oh,
don't we?
God, absolutely.
I mean, obviously we
I-
don't know what she's doing.
I think this is probably the last time Sasha Banks was healed as well, because I feel like after this she sort of came to main roster, and yeah, they like I said in main roster, I don't think we've ever had a full 100% heel Sasha.
No, she's sort of been a bit of a tweener at times, hasn't she? Like she's
Exactly.
teased going heel, but she's never gone full heel. And this just shows, like, why the hell
She's
not?
so good at it.
Why the hell not?
So good at it.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant match. And interestingly, I saw that at the time Meltzer gave it a 4.25, and I kind of get the feeling that if that match had happened on the last takeover, that would have been higher than that. Just with the way that things are going,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
the way that he tends to. It was like what was wrong with it to not give it a bit higher? Don't get me wrong, 4.25 is very good, but I was thinking, what would I give it? I was like, actually, what? It was kind of faultless, and then it had the extra stuff with Izzy
I
there.
don't know, there were a couple of
like,
botches here
which
and
you
there.
couldn't book.
I'd say I probably enjoyed it more than Gargano Cole.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
shout.
yeah, there we go.
That was like one of my favourite matches I've ever seen.
I mean, I think
But
you're
yeah.
splitting hairs when you're talking about best NXT match because so many of them are so great.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we should move on from our best match, and obviously it was all about that match, this pay-per-view, and move on to other matches. And I'm going to put it out there, Sam, I know you picked it, but I thought the rest of the matches were kind of okay.
They're all right. Did a job.
Yeah, so should we just move
yeah,
on? See you next
cool.
week?
I have
Good
to say,
pod, guys.
I really, really enjoyed Jordan Gable versus Rhino and Baza Corbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to talk about Corbin.
I
let's
think
face
this
it.
was probably my second favourite match. I thought it was awesome.
Chad Gable and Jason Jordan were so hot at this
Oh
point.
my god, they were so over. I've never seen like two wrestlers so over.
Yeah, all the save the
Yeah.
Gables chants
Yeah.
and everything. This was great.
What about Corbin? Let's spend some time talking about his look. Vintage
Corbin classic.
Kind of missed the look a little bit.
Yeah. I know what
Yeah.
you mean. I didn't think I'd ever say that. I think he had the most slick back hair I've ever seen.
It's so grease.
Like the way it would whip around into his face, like so much product in there.
And I don't know whether it's because I'm believing my own bullshit with Baron Corbin, but I really enjoyed him in this match.
I agree, John. I thought he looked quite. I was expecting to see a shit wrestler, and
Yeah.
I thought he looked quite good.
I thought he looked amazing.
Sam, was he actually good?
I think Baron Corbin at this point was in the right place at the right time. I think kind of he was a NXT prospect, and maybe I feel like he should have had a couple more months in NXT to maybe have a title reign or something. But yeah, I think kind of he had a lot of potential here, and Baron Corbin's biggest weakness has never been his in-ring ability. It's always been his promo skills and his mic work. So
Just to speak up for Brett, I think he'd disagree with you there. I think he always thought he was really limited. I don't think that.
I don't think... Well,
Just speaking up for you, Brett, if you're
mean-
listening.
he's a big guy, and bigger wrestlers are generally more limited than these small high flyers. But I think kind of for a big guy, he had a lot of potential and a lot of kind of talent. And like I said, I honestly think maybe a couple more months at NXT would have done him good. But at the same
Yeah.
time, do you know what? You can't argue the results of Baron Corbin. He's been main roster for 4 years, and he's not become irrelevant. So, you know.
I remember in NXT sort of after this, and I hated him. I really, and even the crowd hated him. Like
Yeah.
they were chanting "You suck" all the time at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to say, the End of Days looked fucking
Oh, this one in
amazing
particular,
at the
yeah.
end, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, no,
Both
honestly.
that and the Deep Six were beautiful moves.
Yeah,
I just think kind of Baron Corbin...
it looked good.
I don't know. I run hot and cold on him. I think his mic skills are poor. He's getting better. But
Well, we're not interested in then, Sam. You have to love him or hate him, okay? You can't run hot and cold on this podcast with Baron Corbin. He's supposed to be a polarising figure. Are you Team Brett or are you Team Adam and John?
God. You know who's crazy at this point? Rhino. So
I had no idea
okay.
Rhino was in
Avoid the
NXT.
question.
None at all.
Rhino came back to NXT and was kind of pushed as a main eventer, which was fucking cool. Because at this point, I hadn't heard about Rhino since like ECW days.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, Rhino's back, and he looks the exact same, and he's as wide as he is tall, and there we go.
He has the weirdest body shape I've ever seen on
it's
another
so
human
strange.
being. Like,
It's
Oh my
Dozovich-esque.
He has to go through doors sideways, definitely.
God,
He does,
so
yeah.
square. It's bonkers. Like, how does he buy trousers? They must be like, can I get a 82-inch waist and a 20-inch leg?
Yeah, most likely.
Custom made.
Tell you what, though, the gore, beautiful.
Rhino, though, first wrestler to appear in back-to-back Rewind episodes.
Oh, shit.
He was it.
He was.
Really?
Was
I mean,
he in it?
probably
He
not.
wasn't
I
in
don't know if he is.
X7, was he?
Are you
He
thinking
was.
of
He was in
Raven?
the TLC match.
No, right. Yeah, no,
Okay,
you're
let's
right.
move on.
No, he was.
No,
yeah,
you-
he absolutely was in the TLC match. He was in that spot.
Oh, that's good, because you pointed out that I was wrong and I just believed you immediately. I should have had more strength in my beliefs. Yeah,
Good old Rhino.
wasn't it?
He's still going strong. He's on his way to becoming a true gold dust.
Well, in this match, he went off the top rope and landed on his face. So respect for that.
True gold dust. Oof. I don't know about that. So yeah, that was a decent match. That was obviously the first or the second. Was it?
Second,
yeah, the
yeah.
second Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic semi-final. What about worst match? I don't know if there was a particularly terrible match on there. I mean, it's a takeover, so of course
a tough
there wasn't.
one.
But I mean, if I had to pick one, would it Tyler Breeze, Apollo Crews?
Yeah.
Just?
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think so.
like the problem with Apollo Crews versus Tyler Breeze is just the fact that it was a bit of a nothing match. There was no real stakes at hand here. It was kind of just a vehicle to put Apollo Crews over.
What was...
Yeah, I mean, he was
Yeah, it was
over,
fascinating to see
wasn't
because he was super over and they were putting him over, like saying he's going to be a future champ, blah, blah, blah. He's going to be so big. Like,
I remember a very bold and silly prediction I made to my friend at this point after seeing that match of, by December, Apollo Crews will be main roster and fighting for the title.
Yeah.
And
Oh, dear.
I read some
That
reviews of
did
this
not
pay-per-view
happen.
and they said the same thing, that he's going to be in the main event of the main roster soon.
another
Yeah.
victim, though, of being called up way too early.
Yeah, I think you're right. I genuinely felt sad when he came in and got that huge reaction and he was up on the turnbuckle, sort of lapping it all in, basking in his own glory. I thought, how sad. He's got so much hope and sort of joy in his eyes. Little does he know that, I mean, he'll barely make pre-shows on the main roster for the big pay-per-views. He might be in a battle royale or something.
He was
but
huge in the indies before he joined NXT. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was Uhaa Nation he was wrestling as, and people were so hot on him. And like when he signed for WWE, and he was like, "I've changed my name to Apollo Crews," and it's like the Crews is from Terry Crews, and then Terry Crews gave his endorsement. It was just like, oh man, this is going to be big time.
It's one of the coolest names
Yeah.
in WWE, I think, Apollo Crews.
yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
He's only 31, so
a lot of potential.
you know, there's
a
time.
lot of potential.
It kind of feels like he should just leave.
He's a talented guy.
to be
He
honest.
obviously just not great on the mic.
I mean, let's not forget he was part of Titus Worldwide, so
He's fallen through the cracks.
kiss of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so is Tyler Breeze, though.
What a
Good
shame.
Lord.
Oh man, I don't think Tyler Breeze. Yeah, he never did anything, did he? He was never gonna.
He was popular. I'm a big fan of his gimmick. I know it's stupid, but obviously coming out with the selfie stick is just really funny. I like him a lot. I like his
I like
furry
it when he's
boots.
on the sort of up, up, down, down videos. Like, he comes across as a really nice, genuine guy.
Yeah.
I've always had the feeling with Tyler Breeze that he's. This is going to sound so harsh, but always NXT in a kind of developmental way. I've never felt like he has the ability to make it beyond being a jobber on main roster. Like to quote a certain person, he is a B+ player.
Yeah, I think you're right. So that was probably our worst match. Although, you know, as we said, most of the other matches were much of a muchness, I'd say. Not anywhere near the level that we've come to expect from recent takeovers. Because, well, they weren't all 5-star matches, so they're not good enough. Now we usually move on to our standout moment. Obviously, we can just intersperse this with other matches. But what was your standout moment, John? Or sort of a moment that had you on the edge of your seat, or gave you goosebumps, something like that?
So I've actually got two. Like, I
Okay.
think the end of the Bayley Sasha match, not only
Yeah.
sort of the actual culmination of the match itself, but also, you know, the whole roster on the stairs and the sort of presentation of flowers, that had me in tears. I thought that was great.
Oh, it's a lovely ending, that, isn't it?
Also, Samoa Joe doing the bloody muscle bust on Rhino was
Hey!
unbelievable.
Samoa Joe, just generally, just to see him back then, just how intense he was. He's such
So
a
fast,
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah, loved it. His striking's so good. I love his striking, the way he stamps his foot. I know every
Yeah.
wrestler does that, but it just looks brilliant with him.
Him and Finn Balor, underrated tag team. I think they complement each other really well, especially when Joe comes in on the hot tag and just clears out. It's great.
Yeah. Nice. Good moment. Sam?
You stole my moment, John. That was also going to be mine. Is Samoa Joe doing a muscle buster? I love a muscle buster.
Nice.
He did it twice on this pay-per-view, didn't
Oh,
he?
beautiful. Can't
Also,
go wrong with
like,
it.
having a muscle buster and then taking a coup de grace. That's the worst
Dead.
sequence of
Absolutely
of
dead.
moves you could ever take. It
Not a lot of
hurt so
fun.
much.
Well, that leads on to my... Sorry, Sam. I know you've
No,
probably
go
got
for it,
another
go
one,
for
but
it.
that leads nicely onto my standout moment, because mine was Finn Balor's coup de grace. Because I think, obviously, the camera angle helped, but it looked fucking like... I think he's toned it down on the main roster, or he bends his knees sooner, or... He was so high, he got his knees so up into his chest, and then it looked like a proper stomp. I thought it looked brutal. I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Finn Balor also so
All right, John.
over and
Okay.
charismatic and gorgeous in this pay-per-view.
Yeah, he looked great, but he always does. Finn Balor in such good shape.
I got
Yeah, Sam,
one of
another
a
one.
standout moment, which was love seeing Funaki.
I thought you were going to mention
Just
Funaki.
love seeing Funaki's smiling
I have to give
face.
him a mensch.
Good old Funaki. The crowd were amazing for the Baron Corbin Rhino versus Chad Gable Jason Jordan match. And I've really missed seeing Jason Jordan wrestle. I think he's a really good wrestler.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because obviously he just disappeared in that horrible storyline of him being Kurt Angle's son. And what's happened is he got a terrible injury,
Yeah, I think
a
kind
really
of
bad one.
permanent neck injury.
Oh
Oh,
shit!
shit, really?
I think
He's
he's
out,
had
is
to
he?
retire from rest. I think so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, balls.
I think so. I don't know. It'll be a great surprise if he does come back. Perhaps not as Kurt Angle's son.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to Google, but we don't have time for that. Let's just presume that he's dead. So the next thing was the MVP. Oh no, isn't it? It's the what the fuck moment, which is basically this tends to be more appropriate when it comes to the much older pay-per-views, sort of the 80s, 90s ones, where you see something and you think, oh my god, how is that allowed, or how was that allowed at the time? Was there anything like that, or anything just generally that made you say, what the fuck, and not in a good way?
Kevin Nash in the audience. Love a bit of that.
Oh, yes.
Bleary-eyed, after 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah, I had that same reaction when it was like, here's Lita and Charlotte and Becky and Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah. They were like key players in the women's revolution. Stephanie McMahon. I was like, well, in the fact that she's one of the bosses and she's a woman, but that's it, basically. Okay, so MVP, we're going to pick our standout performer from it. I mean, is it going to be Izzy? It's probably got to go to both Sasha and Bayley, hasn't it? Like, it's got to be shared between the two of them, surely.
Can we do shared?
No.
No, okay, let's commit.
I'm going to a polarised thing here. Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to go Bayley.
I'll go Sasha.
You're wrong, John.
I'll go Sasha. 2-1, John. It's got to be just because of the improvisation with reducing a child to tears. Just so good. We all like
It's
to see
wonderful.
that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Who has Sasha Banks in the draft? None of us, right? Did any of us pick her?
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
one of us would have picked her.
I mean, I do want to point out this is 2015.
No, I know, but just generally,
right, yeah.
From
Oh,
now
yeah,
on.
I bloody picked her.
Well, she was good in 2015, mate, so well done.
She's a vintage.
I get
is.
points for that, right? Legacy points.
Maybe.
You might win the legacy draft.
Yeah. Next up, what did we learn? So what could modern day wrestling take or learn from this pay-per-view? Obviously only 4 years have passed, as we've said. There must be something in there. Sam?
I learned what a Rana was.
Hooray! What could wrestling learn, not what can Sam learn?
Oh, Bayley could learn to use her submission finisher again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
She could give it a name as well, like, I don't know, Bayley out.
I think it'd be a good thing for her to add to her moveset, actually, like a good submission move. Just add a bit of viciousness to her, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. John, what did you learn?
Probably what I mentioned earlier, actually, just that the women's division in NXT works so well because they give them time to have feuds and then pay off those feuds at big events.
Yeah.
More of that, please.
Yeah, very true. I learned that Baron Corbin has always been amazing, and that Sasha Banks should be a heel again. But mainly, I was watching the crowd at one point, looking out for like regulars or people that I recognise. There were a couple that I've seen that are still going, and then I realised that those old people who you always see at NXT, that old woman and I'm assuming a husband and wife, they weren't there. And I've realised that those old people are fair weather fans. And they only turn up. They only turn up to takeovers when they're guaranteed 5-star matches exclusively.
Oh, Agnes, what are you doing? It's a Tommaso Ciampa match tonight.
Not because it was a particularly hard winter that year, and then maybe they just didn't make it.
Well,
Meltzer's going to break his rating system again.
I was going to say they were definitely alive. You know, they were very much alive 4 years ago. They, they can't blame old age. They just obviously just like couldn't be bothered to come to the wrestling unless they're guaranteed 5
You've
stars.
hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Are we saying fuck those old people?
Fuck old people.
Fuck all old people.
I'm not behind this message,
Apart
guys.
from,
I'm just going to say I'm definitely clipping that little for out of context sharing. Fuck old people. I'm definitely clipping that, Sam. That is going to be dangerous for you.
I'm so happy to see a Dustin Rhodes at this as well.
I mean, it's also the headline for his Tinder profile anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, fuck old people. Capital letters. Okay, moving on very quickly. Let's forget that stuff. The rating. Giving the pay-per-view a score out of 10, working out the average, seeing how it ranks up against others.
This is going to be a tough one. This is going to be...
Yeah.
I need some examples of previous ones we've done to narrate lies.
Yes, other examples. Let's think. I mean, we don't really have any pay-per-views from that era, because obviously this is the most recent one we've done. Yeah, I mean, the worst pay-per-view we've watched that we've ranked was Extreme Rules 2018. Something that nobody is ever going to be looking back on to do a retrospective podcast in the future. Let's just do it. Let's score it.
Okay.
NXT Takeover Respect. If you're just scoring it based on the main event, it would be very high, but we're not. So, John, commit.
7.
7. Yeah, sounds fair to me. I'm going to go for a 7 as well. Sam?
And I too am going to go for a 7.2.
What? Really?
Yeah, no, 7.
You're the one who
fine.
has to work out the average.
Yeah.
Okay, 7.
No, 7. 7's all good.
7 is the average. That means it is on a par with WrestleMania 2019, which also got 7.
The rating out of 10 system tends to kind of go towards 6s and 7s generally. So,
I mean, who says
NXT.
rating systems are bullshit? I mean, they're not polarizing at all in wrestling, are they? Everyone loves ratings. Everyone loves Dave Meltzer, don't they?
Yeah.
Old people love him.
I've got a lot of respect for Dave. Big Dave.
Yeah.
I have to say, with this pay-per-view, like, I really enjoyed watching it. And it's not
It's
like
just
up to
a lot
the
of
levels.
fun.
Yeah, it was just all the matches were really good. Just NXT, then and now, is just great.
Then, now, forever.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, that is the end of the Rewind episode. Well, it's the end of the Rewind section. We're going to be back after this short break for Hardest Question of the Week.
Question. Week.
Hardest question of the week then. As we watched an old NXT takeover, I asked, who is your favourite female wrestler to have appeared on NXT past or present? Obviously, based on the fact that this was the first NXT show to have 2 females headline it. Who is your favourite female wrestler to have appeared on NXT past or present? And we've got a few answers. Jamie Reeve was up first. He said past has to be Charlotte Flair, present Io Shirai, future Session Moth Martina.
Oh, could you imagine?
What a shout.
I'd love that. Oh, God, I'd love that.
Vince would absolutely love Session Moth as well.
Yeah, it's hard to tell though. Like, would she come out with a can of beer, or would they be like, we can't do that because it's not?
Stone Cold did it.
I know, but that was the Attitude Era. I mean, if this was the Attitude Era, Session Moth would be headlining WrestleMania. no, she wouldn't. She's a woman. She's a woman. Of course she wouldn't. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. God, I'd love that, Jamie. Good shout. I hope that happens. Alan Rolfe says, no one is ready for my answer. It's Asuka, by the way. Sorry if that wasn't clear. It's Asuka.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Obviously, God, it was funny as well watching her debut. I mean, we haven't actually talked about that, so maybe we should very briefly. But it was exciting. Again, knowing what was to come for her WWE career of two halves.
Yeah. Even Dana Brooke, I thought, looked fantastic in that match, actually.
Another one who needed to be left in NXT a little bit longer, I reckon.
Oh, her and Emma, definitely. I really loved her and Emma.
Yeah, me too.
When they were in NXT, I thought they were super.
Emma with her big boss man gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, too soon. And now forgotten.
Yeah, shame.
Loserweight worldwide.
Loserweight says, past was Asuka, the present Baszler, and apropos of nothing, I think Shasha and Bayley's match from Respect is better than the one from Brooklyn.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good shout, to be fair. I think the Brooklyn one's very good, though.
Yeah.
I'd say my favourite is the Brooklyn one just because it's obviously shorter and a bit tighter.
Yeah. Very, very, both very good. Sorry, I was thrown a bit then because I was going to make a joke about you preferring things that are short because you were short, and then you said tighter, and then I was like, do I make a joke of this?
You should have done. I would have been happy with that.
I know. Sometimes I think it's you don't want to go too risque. It's too easy. Toilet humour's too easy.
I have been working on my pelvic floor, so you never know.
Oh, too much information. Actually, not too much information. It's very important that every man works on their pelvic floor. As it can really help them in later life. So
what's a pelvic floor?
do that, guys, and women.
No, but
everybody.
What is one?
Basically, strain. It's like when you need a poo and you're trying to hold it in.
No.
What do you mean no?
Sam just goes. Sam just goes.
When Sam's ready, Sam's ready.
Sam's ready. He just goes. Adult nappies all the way. Well, basically, if you're ever in a position where you needed to go for a number two and you couldn't. You would use this muscle. The pelvic floor is like the muscle that you use to hold it in. And it's very important. It's a very important muscle for men in terms of things like, you have a lower chance of getting prostate cancer and various other illnesses if you do that. And for women, when they are pregnant, they have to do a lot of that to strengthen that area before giving birth. Anyway, back to the wrestling podcast.
I've got more questions than answers there.
Yeah, fascinating little diversion.
Yeah, Carl Luckhurst gets to follow that shit show. He suggests Paige played the anti-diva so well and was great to see someone different, especially that reaction when she beat AJ Lee on the Raw after WrestleMania. Great shout.
That was good.
Shout. And he says that or Liv Morgan. And then Cy Stew, Capital Clamface, lastly came in just before we started recording to say if it's specifically NXT and not what they have accomplished after, I'd have to say Bayley.
Yeah. I mean,
she had a great NXT story.
She really did.
She did. Good.
Do you know who I miss?
Who?
Did you guys ever see Blue Pants wrestle?
No. Wasn't related to the Blue Meanie, was it?
No. Blue Pants. She was a wrestler
on NXT.
She did NXT stuff, and her whole gimmick was she used to just cosplay and shit, and it was pretty
cosplay
fun.
And shit. No wonder they got rid of her.
She used to do a lot of cosplay. She used to come out dressed as like X-Men and stuff, and eventually I think Enzo Amore gave her the nickname Blue Pants, and it just kind of stuck. And she was pretty great. She was a lot of fun.
I've Googled her, and I do recognise her, actually.
And she is now in AEW as the librarian. Weirdly, I think she lost her job at WWE after she was publicly intoxicated. But we don't need to worry about that. Well, she's fun and does cosplay.
Yeah, that shit always happens. Good stuff. Thank you very much for everyone who answered the hardest question of the week. Next podcast is... we haven't sort of definitely decided, but probably be something like a roundup episode next week. Hopefully Brett will be back. We'll look at all the news that's happened. Obviously there's a fair bit to talk about with Progress, having the Super Strong Style tournament. There is AEW developments. Obviously we'll talk about Raw and SmackDown, so that could be a good episode, I reckon. So tune in for that.
Week, I am going to Raw.
Wow.
Ooh.
You should pod live from the event.
Yeah.
No, stupid idea.
No, Raw's terrible at the moment.
Yeah. Well, have a great time with your
Raw is a
75 quid
challenge.
tickets. Sam, as Brett's not here, are you going to step into his shoes and tell people how to get in touch?
Yes. So, if you would like to email us, you can email us.
John, do you want to have a crack?
If you'd like to email us, you can contact us at hardestpartofthering@gmail.com. You want to catch us on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Bebo, MySpace. As we're at Hardest Part Pod.
Yeah, be part of our top 9.
Good old Bebo. I reckon Bebo's probably now used just by far right groups.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You want to buy something from us? Maybe a t-shirt, maybe a sticker, maybe John's soul. hardestpartofthering.bigcartel.com.
Very nice. That is it then. Thank you very much for listening to our Rewind episode. We are back next week. Get well soon, Brett.
Yeah.
Hopefully Brett will make it.
Practice your pelvic thrusts, mate, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, everybody, a little bit of homework for the podcast. Everybody practice
pelvic thrust or pelvic floor?
Pelvic floor.
It's pelvic floor.
Don't send people out into the world pelvic thrusting everywhere.
No, please do your pelvic
This
floor.
isn't the attitude era anymore, guys. We can't do that.
The great thing about the pelvic floor exercise is that you literally can do it anywhere. And listener, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for listening. Please don't decide never to listen again because we've talked about pelvic floors. It's goodbye from me, Adam. Goodbye from Sam.
Your voice literally changed as you started.
What? Oh, okay. It's goodbye from John.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from Brett. Oh, I just automatically did it and he's not here. Goodbye, Brett. That was the hardest part of the ring.